Okay, time for part 2 of my review of the Sunray Sport 149T. When I at the end of the last video, we were still at our site at Big Bend Ranch, and we had to crawl our way out of there. I did encounter a problem, and it was that I lost my trailer brakes, and it wasn't until we got out and got to Fort Leaton that I was able to crawl under the trailer and try to research what was going on, and I'll show that problem to you. Now, I haven't fixed the issue yet, which is bad because I'm already back out, but we've had some pretty rough weather. Okay, because I have them just zip tied. This was a quick fix. From the factory, the brake lines, where they come from the right side of the trailer through the axle, they come out here or wherever, it matters not, but it meets up with the left side, and then the power line for them here comes out, and everything's all connected. Well, they had laid the wire at the factory across the axle and zip tied it really tight, and these wires were pulled really tight. And on the way out, I encountered a situation where there was big flexion in the suspension, and it literally ripped those wires, and so I lost my trailer brake. So fortunately I had some electrical tape with me in my little repair kit, and I just had to restrip the wires down and get everything tied back up. And just for a quick fix for the slack, I just hung it from the water lines, which again, not very smart, but it's all I could do laying in a parking lot. So when I get back home, I'll get that taken care of. Okay, here I'm on the left side of the trailer, or the back. And one of the things I didn't address in part 1 is that the only pass-through you have on this camper is back here. Where's my finger? There it is. It's back here in the back. That's a pass-through storage that goes all the way to the other side. And let me get that door open and I'll show you why that's a problem. Okay, got it open. The reason that this is a problem is there's your rear axle. But this being your only pass-through storage, that means you got all of your storage weight, and half of your tanks of your gray and black tank is in the back. And not only that, your freshwater tank is at the very, very back of the trailer. So that's an awful lot of weight to have pulling down on the back and pushing up on your tongue. And that's an issue. So to make matters even worse, when it comes to your freshwater tank, all of your pump and the water lines that go out through the rest of the cabin are just laying here exposed. And so I just had this old scrap towel, and I just shoved that thing there to kind of protect them. And then I went and bought these boxes at Home Depot, these old 14-gallon totes. They kind of slide in there pretty nice. Like, that one's all my water stuff. And so I had one with water, one with all my electrical supplies, and one with all my stuff to deal with the gray tank and the black tank. And what I keep those pushed up against that freshwater tank, and then any miscellaneous stuff I put between that wall and these boxes to just try to protect that. But the main thing of this is you got all that weight back there, and then that's where that tongue box, that black tongue box, comes into play. I had a question about this black box. What I did with all of my electrical stuff that was in a little yellow tote back there in my storage area, since that's the most weight that I have of all the extra stuff, and since I had relocated my battery to the inside underneath the dinette, I bought this little lockable black storage box on Amazon and mounted that up to the tongue and put all the weight from my electrical stuff and my miscellaneous tools like wrenches and screwdrivers and all the tools to fix the plumbing and everything. That all went inside that box right there to try to remove some of the weight from that pass-through storage. And before I leave the topic of the electrical stuff, I want to address this yellow cord here. My previous, the camper I had before this one, I had went to a campsite and the pedestal, the electrical pedestal and the water faucet were way up here at the front. And, you know, of course, normally all that stuff's at the back end of your trailer, and I didn't have enough cord or water hose to reach up here. So I had to go buy an extension cord and an extra water hose, and I learned from that lesson and have carried those ever since, even though I've never used either one of them again. So even here in this camper, I have a brand spanking new extra water hose that's still, you know, like when you pick it up off the shelf, just having a new one with me. And I still carry that 30 amp extension cord, and those things are heavy. You know, even in addition to the 30 amp cords that come with these campers or any travel trailer. Well, what I've ran into with this one is the air conditioner in this thing is just it's a little 5,000 BTU. They don't pull a lot of amperage. And I've yet to take it out in a season where I need to use the air conditioner, but I did a test and I just ran a 20 amp extension cord when I had it at home and ran everything in the camper. Well, I didn't run the air conditioner with the microwave at the same time, which I've never really done that in a travel trailer. If I got to run one, I always shut the other one off. But anyway, a 20 amp cord ran that air conditioner and the converter and everything just fine. And I don't need any electricians peeling my skin off. But so my intention is to not use the 30 amp stuff. I can definitely pull that 30 amp extension cord out of that box. I'm probably not going to need that. So I went and bought a 10 gauge 20 amp cord, just a regular extension cord, in this pigtail that goes into the 30 amp plug on the trailer. Got them, and this is just like, you know, a regular plug like you have at the house, but it's 10 gauge. It's really thick. And, you know, in this particular park, this site has 50 amp, a 30 amp, and a 20 amp plug. And so I'm just flip on the 20 amp breaker, and that's all I'm using, because we're not running the air conditioner, but 20 amp is enough to run the microwave if we happen to want it while we're not here. I don't have any water hose or anything hooked up on the camper because I'm just here for one night and my freshwater tank is full. We'll just use the pump, take our showers and stuff. I mean, that 27 gallons of fresh water back there is plenty to get us through this trip for the night. And when I get back home, I'll just fill the freshwater tank back up. So that addresses the yellow cord, why it's there. But I'm bringing that up to also say that I can take the 30 amp extension cord out of here and even reduce the weight even more, and I could probably just take that whole 30 amp cord out, and that's probably, between those two, is probably 15 pounds that I can pull off of the tongue. But prior to me putting it all here, everything was back here. And so between the weight of whatever you have in the storage in these things, plus your gray tank, plus your fresh water tank, all that weight, and in this case, a spare tire, all that weight is behind the axle. And so it's not very bueno. I mean, it's workable. It's not like it's a deal breaker, but if you're going to buy this camper, be aware of that, and you'll have to plan accordingly. Yeah. Okay. Everybody knows that these travel trailer rear bumpers are not really made for weight. I don't like having my spare tire on the back of the trailer. I see people do they got a lot of weight. They put a lot of weight on those things, which I don't know what the precise weight rating is for them, but they're not made for a significant amount of weight. I might hang a bicycle back there. This thing came with the rear tire mounted there, which is fine, but when I went into Big Bend, I knew the road was going to be so rough, I pulled it off because that thing was extremely floppy. It was really, really floppy. Let's see if I can get back here to film this. Yeah, okay. So what it has at the bottom, it had a bolt. Make sure I get my foot in the ant bed. It had a bolt here, and up top was just a pin, so that you could pull the pin and drop this whole thing down. I don't know why you would want to do that, but that's the way it was set up. So what I did was I stopped at the hardware store. Well, I had pulled this bolt out and nut, and I took them in the hardware store and got one a comparable size and replaced that pin with another one. Because on that last trip I had stopped and just grabbed the tire, and man, that thing was so wobbly and flopping around, and which is when I noticed that this back thing here is really a lot of play in that, and that's been rubbing. Let me see if I can zoom in here. That's rubbing on this part of that mount for the tire, and it's rubbing a hole in the metal. So I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. It's like this thing is, I don't know, like this back panel is almost a quarter inch too long, and it's just kind of bowed out in the middle. Oh look, there is a screw there to try to hold that, and one down there, and there was one here, and they've all come out. Look at there. Just now found that. So I haven't really crawled in here and looked at it. So I'll have to be addressing that when I get back, because I don't have any screws with me. I've got my drills and stuff, and I don't have any screws. So be aware of that. If you make sure you check that. You might want to do something with the brake wires that are just laid down on the axle, and everything's pulled real tight and zip tied. So if you get any flex in your suspension, it may rip those. That did happen to me. I still haven't pulled that furnace out to take a look at it, because I really don't want to be without my camper if we're dropping it off to get warranty work done. That's the exhaust there. That's why I'm standing out here pointing at it. While I'm standing here, one last thing. We replaced the regular door handle with one of these locks from RV Lock. I wish I would have done that years ago. Ain't that right? It comes with a key fob. You can still use your keys just like you would on a regular thing, but it comes with a key fob. You can also rekey your storage boxes to use the same key as this does, or you can punch in a code, which is what we do. Makes it, love it. Should have done it years ago, but that's a modification that you have to add that into your life. So after now 4 or 5 months of having this thing, you like it?
I do.
It's that's the changes that I've made. That's the experiences I've had with it. I still like it. However, knowing what I know now, I'd probably still buy it. No probablys. I'd still buy it. It's a good camper. It's been fun. It's we downsized for a reason, and this gives us everything we need in a little small package that my truck, which is grossly oversized for pulling this, but her SUV can pull it as well. My wife's SUV can pull it as well. So there we have it. That's my 2-part review of the Sunray 149T. If y'all have any comments or questions, put them in the comments below, and I'll see what I can do about providing some answers and or guidance. Thanks for watching.